I knew this moment would arrive. With the kind of content that I do now, it was always a risk that someone would call me out on the fact that I either have very few subscribers here on YouTube, a small number of followers on Twitch, or just a low view count in general. And it happened on my recent Saturday stream where, after a bit of procrastination leading up to the stream, I finally built up the, I guess, motivation in myself to run the Wheel of Streaming workshop that I knew my viewers had wanted for some time. And while I was sharing my experiences and ideas and answering some questions from chat, there it was, the first person ever to challenge me on the fact that I have very few viewers and I'm delivering content to help streamers. Essentially, they were challenging and questioning the very value of my content. And I'll read out the quote for you. I've got it right here. It says, "Well, 6 viewers, why should we listen to you? You sound like the millions other coaches." And yeah, he did the speech marks as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. First, I'll play through the actual clip itself. It's only a minute long clip just to give you an idea of the context of how it happened. And then we'll go through, first of all, my response to it and evaluate that. Second, what I'd like to talk you through is how we as streamers can prepare for situations like this. And then third, and the final part of this video is going to be why I'm actually really happy that this thing even happened in the first place. Hi, I'm Tom, also known as Brick Guy, and I help content creators build their ultimate stream life balance, enabling them to grow and improve their streams while smashing everything else that life has to throw at them. I post videos here on YouTube once a week, so if this is the kind of content that sounds good to you, then feel free to subscribe. And if you want to chat to me in a more live setting, then I stream to Twitch on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And if you'd like to chat to me outside of those areas, then we also have a Discord now. All the links for all of those things will be in the description below. So here we go with my breakdown of what happened on Saturday, and it was by no means a big moment, so I'm not going to try to needlessly hype it up, but it was a moment that stuck with me throughout the rest of the stream, and it's given me an opportunity for the first time to actually verbalize the value of my content. So before we get into that, I want to play the clip for you. It's going to be about 1 minute long, so it's not very long. And I want you to see, and we can observe together how I reacted to the comment that was made, and then we can break it down bit by bit. So I'll just press the play button here. Sorry, Dr. Admin, 6 viewers, why we should listen to you? Because I'm not saying you should, you don't have to. This is just advice. And thank you for being here. The reason we're doing this is because I've done this session for myself for my own life, and after a successful 2018 of really growing in several different areas of my life, excuse me, I felt that this would be a great way to apply the same concept to streaming. So after having a chat with people in my community, we decided that yes, this could be a good way to look at several different aspects of streaming. And I'm not saying this is the only way or the best way, but this way in particular has helped me with my own life a couple of years ago, and I've applied it vaguely over the past couple of years, and that's why I feel it's better for streaming as well. And this is something that's going to help me, but if it helps me, maybe it can help other people as well. So thank you for your question. That's why. Feel free to stick around if you think this will interest you. And there's my sip of tea at the end there. So that's the whole clip end to end. I hope the sound captured that okay. So what I want to do now is just break it down again, almost play by play, if you will, if this will let me do that. Yeah, there we go. So that should be fine now. So we'll go from the very start again, and there's about 5 or 6 key points that I picked up from this explanation. Some good, some bad, some that could be improved. So we'll just go through it. Sorry, Dr. Admin. So there's the first thing. I start off by saying sorry, and I shouldn't have to apologize as soon as I start making my point. And looking back, I don't actually know why I did it, except maybe it was just more of a reflex. But the very first thing I say, or the very first thing I even do to address this comment is I apologize. And there is no way we need to be doing that. We do not need to be apologizing for the content we are delivering to people, especially if they're finding it useful. Anyway, on to the next point. In fact, I could probably just say this now, is that the next point is that I feel like I reacted very quickly. I put a lot of responsibility onto myself to react to comments as quickly as possible and try to keep the chat going. And I did that here as well. I could have easily waited 5, maybe 10 seconds before responding to this question. I could have internalized it in my head how I was going to address this first before going straight in and saying what I felt on the matter. So that's another point there. If you are coming against comments or not criticism but challenges like this, feel free to give yourself the time to make sure you can respond properly. And then the next point I'm going to raise is that you'll notice it as soon as I start talking here and start playing it, that my voice is slightly raised at the start, and then I take a pause to explain my perspective. So just listen out for that. My voice is kind of a bit higher pitched, a bit more raised, a bit agitated, and that's definitely something that would have changed had I taken the 5 or 10 seconds to first internalize the thought and then how I wanted to respond. So just listen out for that. In 6 viewers, why we should listen to you? Because I'm not saying you should, you don't have to. This is just advice. And thank you for being here. That was the next point. I thanked them for being here, and I don't really agree with that choice of phrase. I know as streamers, if anyone engages in chat, we want to kind of thank them for being in chat, thank them for following and doing all of that stuff. But really, I feel like all I needed to, and feel free to, disagree with me in the comments or give your points of view, but I feel like I only needed to welcome them to the stream and thank them for the question, not thank them for being here. The reason we're doing this is because I've done this session for myself for my own life, and after a successful 2018 of really growing in several different areas of my life. Well, let's stop it there as well. That little frog in the throat and the cough felt very personal to me, and I don't think it came up on stream, but the comment really did shake me. And I don't know if that comes across in the way I'm addressing the challenge, or even in the way I'm working on this video now and recording it for you, but I was actually shaken by that comment, and that probably says a lot about my, I guess, ego and my own internal fragility, that even the slightest challenge and suddenly I go into this massive bag of nerves. But when I was trying to talk, I was really nervous, and then it came through in that sort of like that frog in the throat moment and that cough. And again, I think this will come with practice, addressing criticism and people that might not be, I guess, on your side or cheering for you or rooting for you. It's going to be a skill and a muscle to practice to make sure I'm prepared at dealing with situations where I might need to fight back on some challenges that are coming my way. So that's just something I need to bear in mind there. Again, it might not have come through on the stream, but I just wanted to highlight it there as well. Excuse me. I felt that this would be a great way to apply the same concept to streaming. So after having a chat with people in my community, we decided that yes, this could be a good way to look at several different aspects of streaming. And I'm not saying this is the only way or the best way, but this way in particular has helped me with my own life a couple of years. So there we go. I explained that this isn't the only way or the best way, and really, if I was to take the perspective of all these other educational style streamers and YouTubers, what we're all doing is sharing the ways that work for us and may work for other people as well because they worked for us. In this case, especially those of you who have watched my videos in the past, especially the recent ones about the Wheel of Life and taken part in that stream workshop as well, you'll know that this particular method works for me in my own personal life. And what we're trying to do here is simply see if it works for streaming. I'm pretty certain that this method hasn't worked this method hasn't been used by any other streamer. So, the fact is, we don't know if this works or not. But the fact is, we're willing to give ourselves a try, give this a try, put ourselves out there, and see if it is a way to help people basically strategize and set visions for their streaming goals. And maybe it doesn't work, but at least we're trying. Years ago, and I've applied it vaguely over the past couple of years, and that's why I feel it's better for streaming as well. And this is something that's going to help me. But if it helps me, maybe it can help other people as well. So thank you for your question. That's why. And there we have it, the last bit. I thanked them for the question. And I totally agree with doing that. I think if you're being challenged like that, you thank them at the start, but I think thank them at the end as well. Once you've addressed it, you thank them. You say, this was a productive conversation. I don't know. You just thank them. You acknowledge the question for what it was. And after this, I invited them to stick around, I think. Feel free to stick around if you think this will interest you. So now I've put it up to them to make the next move, and basically said, if this is for you, great, stay here, be part of the chat. If it's not for you, then do whatever you like, really. And actually, looking at this particular account's profile, it's pretty clear that they're actually not my target viewer, and it's likely they were probably just trolling to get a reaction out of this. And that would be the first thing I suggest, is to not react aggressively or negatively to any comments like this. There's that common advice to don't feed the troll. So really what I'd say is to use questions like this, or challenges or statements, or any way it comes through in chat to you. Use it as an opportunity to make the purpose of your content and its value crystal clear, not just for the troll, but for your chat as well. So then they can understand exactly why you produce this content. It's essentially another way to communicate your purpose and your own mission. And if you haven't worked that out yet, then there will be videos on that in the future. But there's, like this guy said, there's plenty of other coaches out there that help with streaming and people that give educational content. They also have their own methods for defining your purpose and why you create content. So by all means, check those out as well. But we're going to jump out of this view now real quick. That's the first point, really. There's the video. I'm not going to play any more clips, but I just want to show you how I addressed it. And then my first point is to basically don't feed the troll, don't react aggressively, don't give them the rise that they might be looking for. And there's every chance this person, it was a genuine question, and other people in the chat might have had that question as well, which is why it's just as important to clarify it for the rest of the chat that's taking part, as well as that one person that's stepping up and trying to challenge your authority, I guess. And even more importantly, it helps you to clarify your own vision and your purpose for doing this as well. So there you go, 3 reasons why it's good. So how else can you prepare for these situations? The first thing I would suggest is to think of different potential ways that someone could challenge you on the value of your content. In my case, one challenge is the fact that I have a smaller audience on YouTube and Twitch, and compared to more established YouTubers and streamers and content creators in those areas, I don't have the back catalogue of content available. I don't have the same level of viewers and subscribers and metrics as everyone else. I don't even have the production value. I try with the lighting and the audio quality and things like that. But the fact is, I am a smaller content creator. I'm much newer. I've been doing this for about 6 months. So while I can't compete on the compared to the other content creators out there doing similar content, I do in fact have a very different perspective to this, because I've had almost a decade of experience of working on side hobbies and things outside of the day job and managing and growing those while performing well in my day-to-day work and career, while succeeding in other areas of my life, I can bring all of that experience and package it under the I guess the aspects of streaming, because now that's the thing I'm interested in. I tend to go between different hobbies, and now streaming is the current one, and I want to see how far I can grow that. So by taking all this experience and knowledge I've gained from all these other hobbies and applying it to streaming, I feel I can share that with other streamers as well. So that's my niche, that's my value proposition compared to these other educators that are out there. So for you, let's say if your core content is gameplay that most Twitch streamers tend to do, then one challenge could be, why should they watch you when there are better players that they can watch? And to be honest, thinking back to it, I'd want to ask whoever makes these kinds of challenges, like, what brought them to the stream in the first place. And I think if you are being challenged, it is important to say, like, thank you for your question. What brought you here in the first place? Why did you choose to watch me? I'd love to know. Here's my reason why. So then you do your next point. Once you've asked them what brought you here, then you say, the reason I do this content is why. This is the reason people watch me. And then that way you've addressed their point and perhaps even got a little bit of, I don't know, some kind of analytics and in a way survey feedback on why people visit the stream in the first place. So that's something to keep in mind. And the next point I'd suggest is to write a clear purpose statement for yourself as to why your content is valuable, and practice saying that a few times. It can be as short as a single sentence. In fact, I recommend creating a version that is one sentence, and then creating a version which is perhaps a bit more detailed if you want to go through a more detailed answer and give them a bit more background into your life. Then creating perhaps a paragraph might be a bit more helpful for you there. And then ask yourself, does it fully address all aspects of the question? And ask yourself, what follow-up questions could there be? And try to make this, particularly the paragraph, maybe not so much the sentence, but the paragraph, try to make that as complete as possible. Think of any follow-up questions or counter challenges someone could come up with, and try to fill out this paragraph with as many almost preemptive countermeasures to that if you can. And similar to what I did in the video, thank them for stopping by, thank them for the question, and again, be open and inviting to them when you have addressed the point. Make sure you encourage them to stick around, take part in the chat, especially if they are satisfied with the answer. Then that becomes another viewer in your case. And yes, this guy followed me. Do I think they'll watch my content again? Probably not. Maybe they will, but I think there's a very low chance. And yeah, they can either leave because they didn't get the reaction they wanted, or they realize the content isn't relevant to them. They can stay because the content is relevant to them and they're happy to watch and they're happy with what you said. Or maybe they will stay because they want to see how far they can push you. And if your value proposition isn't deemed good enough by this person and they keep challenging you, they keep trying to get a rise out of you, they, for whatever reason, just don't back down, that's probably where you'll get people in chat rooting for you and fighting your corner for you. Maybe that's where you have to get mods involved, or time them out or ban them. And again, be very clear in explaining why you're banning them or doing these. I'd say they're quite extreme measures, but I think they should be treated in the same way as anyone else that's causing some level of harassment in your chat. And think about your own rules and how you would escalate the issue if needed, and how you would then resolve that escalation if things weren't resolved in the way you'd like them to be. So my final point is why I'm really super happy why someone challenged me on this kind of content that I'm producing. And quite rightly, they pointed out that there are millions of other stream coaches out there, and I know that's obviously an exaggeration, but the point is true. Why am I different, and why am I different especially with a low view count? And again, going back to what I said earlier, the reason why my content is unique and why I feel it is valuable is because there are these other stream coaches, stream educators out there that really go to town on how to create the best stream aesthetic, how to get awesome overlays and sound effects and panels and alerts and things like that. There are people that talk about the wider economy and market behind esports and streaming. There are those that help you to build your personality and what your purpose for streaming is, and a whole host of other things. But the one thing I don't really see a lot of, that I see new streamers in particular struggle with, is finding that balance between trying to grow your stream but still keeping everything else going in your everyday life, because many times we can prioritize streaming and then burn ourselves out, and then other things in our lives start to fall down the pecking order. And then there's those that do struggle to grow because they're not putting in as much time into streaming, because they're focusing on other areas of their life. And I probably fall into that second category at the moment. I was having a conversation just today with a fellow streamer about how I don't give myself enough time, but that's because I want to make sure I'm prioritizing people in my life and certain things that I'm building up for, like my wedding this year. So it makes sense that my growth or my effort put into streaming isn't as high as it would be as someone without those commitments. So really what this allowed me to do is to reinforce my own stance on why my content has value, and it allows me to position myself alongside those other streamers and creators who produce similar content to other, but in other niches. So I'm not competing with them in terms of viewers and production value. I'm not competing with them at all, really. What I'm showing is that, yes, all these other streamers are great, go watch them. And in fact, on my Discord, I share their content with fellow streamers. But what I'm saying is that, yes, these people are great, but if you need to know about this specific topic, your stream life balance, then come to me for that, because that's the content I can bring you. And I don't know what was going through the chat's mind when this whole challenge came up, and what they were thinking while I was responding as well. But if I see someone that's trying to give me valuable content and they help me learn and then they get challenged like that, then I want to back them up. And in my own chat, I did see that a few extra messages showing up, which, you know, for me felt great to see as well, because I know that they have my back as well. And then the other thing I want to do is also to thank my mod team. I had 2 moderators present at the time, and what they did is, it might sound like they did nothing, but really what they did is they gave me the chance to actually deal with this myself. It would have been very easy for one of them to step up, see the messages like that, and delete them straight away and block the user, but they left that message in there for me. And again, maybe I didn't give them much of a chance to react because I reacted too quickly, but they left that message in there for me. They gave me the chance and the time to address it, and then we actually just had a good laugh about it afterwards in our Discord. So, you know, we got some entertainment out of it, and also importantly, I've got another YouTube video out of just this one interaction as well. So, you know, it's all pretty beneficial to me at the end of the day. And ultimately, what I want you to take away from this video, if you only take away one thing, is that it doesn't matter what your viewership is like, or how great your gameplay is, or how things look and sound in your stream. Those things help, but it's ultimately your content that has value. You yourself need to ensure that you are clear on what that value is specifically, and then you need to be able to communicate that value not only to your regular viewers, because they kind of know what your value is, and obviously with constant communication that will reinforce it in their minds, but also you need to communicate that to anyone else that comes into chat just randomly and tries to challenge you. And of course, if that viewer is only genuinely interested in trying to get a rise out of you, then don't take the bait, explain to the chat why their behaviour isn't acceptable, and then deal with them as you would any other form of negative behaviour. So, here's my mission for you. I want you to let me know in the comments if you could summarise what value your content has in a single sentence. What would that sentence be? I'll give you my example in the comments below, so look out for that, but I can't wait to see yours. And if you want to add a bit more to it, if you want to make it a paragraph, feel free. but there's also my Discord for things like that as well, so feel free to join us on there. And remember, I stream on Wednesdays and Saturdays over on Twitch if you want to take this conversation further, and of course I upload a video here each week. So if this kind of content is something you'd like to see more of, feel free to subscribe here, follow me on Twitch and chat to me on there, and go to the Discord and we can talk about this in a lot more detail as well. And the main thing about that Discord is that it's got other like-minded streamers out there who are working to grow their streams but also looking to balance that with the day-to-day lives that they've got going on. So we have lots of amazing conversations over there, and I look forward to seeing you there as well. So with that, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.